All right. So this one's a good one. Very excited. I have Kara Goucher coming on. So she'll be on a little bit. And I don't know. Since I started running, she's been somebody I've always looked up to and been excited to talk to. And I got a chance to meet her one time and it was pretty cool and I was starstruck. So it will be fun talking to her here soon. And we'll find out all sorts of stuff about what she's up to. Clean sport, Altra, all the rest. See how she's doing during COVID. And here she comes. And there she is. Hey, hi Kara, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm still a little starstruck. I mean, the first time I met you, I was like, oh my God, there's Kara Goucher.
Is this the picture that was on?
That is. We met, it was right after the New York City Marathon.
Yeah, I remember. It was the year that I totally bombed and you made me like laugh and like, I can't remember what you had me doing, but it was good.
We were doing the finish line, but yeah. And you know what? And that brings up a good point. Like you probably didn't have your best day, but for me, it was my best day. I got to see Kara Goucher hang out, and it was awesome. So,
thank you.
Before I, fanboy out here. So how's everything going?
It's good. Like everyone else, we wish it wasn't like this, but I feel lucky to have running, lucky to live in a community where we can still get outside, lucky to be able to do my work from home. So, really just trying to focus on all the positives. But, I would like to, I can't wait for life to get back to normal. And like everyone in Boulder is really good about wearing masks when they run. Which is awesome, but it also is weird because you don't see any expressions. So I'm always kind of like, I'm kind of like waving. So I'm like looking forward to like smiling at people and high-fiving. And, I've like tried to hug like 3 people out on a run because I forget. So I'm looking forward to like seeing, you see people and you're like, hey, and then they're like, whoa.
Yeah.
So.
Now, you just had a Mother's Day.
Yes.
That must have been special. Did you guys do anything great for that?
We went for a hike and saw a rattlesnake. And then I actually just made Adam do projects around the house that I wanted him to get done. And then we had a picnic dinner. So it was actually great. And Adam got a ton done that I wanted around the house. But it was really fun. And Colt made me a really cute card. And it was good.
Awesome. Are you homeschooling Colt right now?
I mean, I'm not a homeschooler, but yes, he is doing home learning. And so from 9 to 1 every day, I sit with him at the kitchen table, and
that's kind of what I meant by homeschooling with the age of COVID. You're the teacher.
Yeah, I am the teacher. Yeah, like today we were learning about all these shapes in geometry, and I was like, wait, what is a trapezoid and a rhombus? So I didn't Google it because I couldn't remember it. I was like, you're in 3rd grade. Like, how are you learning this? But yeah, it's been a lot, and it really has made me appreciate his teachers so much more because I'm like, wow, they do this, but they also have 29 other kids in the class.
But they can't run a 2:20 something marathon,
They can't, no, but they can control 30 children. I think that's more impressive, probably.
Yeah, I mean, my boys are, we're teaching them when they're here, and it's insane. I'm probably getting what they're learning from me is that you can Google everything.
Yeah, me too. I'm always like, wait, just let me quick look that up.
There's a calculator on this phone too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. How old are your boys?
Well, one of them's in around Colt's age. He's 8, and the other one is 11. So they're kind of in between. Colt's 10.
He's 9.
9. Okay, so yeah, right there. The 3rd grade was what was getting me there, but yeah, I mean. Yeah, it's not easy.
No, it's not. And I mean, we've definitely had our moments where we've had to take a break from each other. But it's been interesting because I've been looking forward to the end. He's done on the 21st. But he is not because he says that he likes that alone time. And so it has made me really think about how I am around him a lot, but I am distracted a lot. I'm trying to be up to date on this or that. And so it has made me really realize that I can do a better job of being a mom, or just being more present. It doesn't mean I have to sit at the table for 4 hours, but I could do a better job of having that distraction-free time.
Yeah, I mean, I totally understand because you really do. They light up when you give them that direct, like,
Yes.
hey, I'm listening. We're figuring this out. We're doing this together. But
Yeah.
yeah. So to transition from that, your regular daily routine. So running, recovery, all that. How are you getting that in? What are you doing for that right now?
So right now my running is really, I mean, it's kind of a shit show, but I get up and I try to be done with my run and back home no later than 8:45. So I'm trying to do Monday strides, Wednesday a little something hard, Saturday a longish run. And once he's done and I have the freedom to like not feel like I have to be back home by 8:45, I think I'll be better. But right now it's kind of like I'm running about 60 miles a week. I'm trying to progress to get some speed back. I'm not really progressing right now. So I don't know. I'm hoping that when I like don't feel so rushed and I actually stretch and I actually, that it'll be better. But it's definitely been more for sanity than anything else right now.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I find myself with the new trains, I used to have to get up early and run before I'd take the boys to school or before I went to work. And so there was pressure to get things done. I didn't take as much time for stretching or for warm ups. And now with this, I kind of have my coffee in the morning, relax, go out, come back in. So I'm finding it's a little more enjoyable. You're doing the opposite.
Yeah, at first I was doing that. At first I was like going in the afternoon when I needed a break, but Colt's just really done well with this 9 to 1 schedule. And so I don't know. Then I'm like, at that point, I just want to like do something for myself. That's not, I don't know. I'm just like, now I need to go like be alone for an hour and read a book. So yeah, I've been getting up at like 6:30 and just getting it done.
So
But I'm looking forward to.
you're not filling it with trash TV or anything like that?
I mean, I feel like there's no new TV on. I don't know. Confession, I am a Housewives watcher. So
All right.
I do like there's a new one on Thursday and then a new one on because I can't stay up that late, right? Like I fall asleep at like 9:30. So I record them and then Thursday and Friday I have like there's either New York or this is really embarrassing or Beverly Hills. But yeah, like I do. Like I've even told Colt like I'm gonna be alone and watch trashy TV. Don't tell your dad I'm going in my room. And then I'll just watch it.
Yeah, we have our Bravo shows for sure.
Yeah.
During this time. But yeah, it's funny to know that you also our bedtimes coordinate. My wife and I, it's like 8:30. We're like, whoa, it's getting late. We better head up and start getting ready for bed.
We're so sad. Like we'll get in bed and it's like 9:30 and we are like, let's watch a show. Let's watch a movie. And then I fall asleep and I look over and he's asleep. I'm like, oh man. I used to be a night owl, but not anymore.
I don't think I was ever a night owl, but I actually I love that we go to bed early. I like that we're a couple that also is on the same page because if you have one that's not, then.
Oh, yeah. No, I can't sleep if Adam's not in the bed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I've always been like that. Like, even if he's gone, like, even the boys slept out on the trampoline the other day. And I was like, oh, I have the whole room to myself. I'm going to watch a movie. And I couldn't sleep. I don't know.
Crazy
I just like need his energy there.
It's crazy that it's warm enough for him to be sleeping outside in Boulder.
I know. Well, we've had crazy weather. Like we had crazy snowstorms just like 2 weeks ago. And then we had a couple days where it was 75, 80. And I mean, it's been crazy here, but I think we're finally over we usually get snow in May, and yesterday snow was forecast, but we didn't get it. So now Adam and I are like, just please let it be done. Like, please that we don't have one more time.
Just the mud.
That's fine. Whatever.
Yeah. No murder hornets, no more snow.
Oh gosh, that is scary. Have you read about that?
I mean, when you were talking about the weather, that's what I was thinking about. Because we're locked in our houses. Yeah. Here in Baltimore, we had a 30-degree day like 2 days or yesterday. I forget when it was. And then it's going to be 80 on Friday. And I saw murder hornets on television. So, I don't know what's happening.
I saw on Twitter one day, everyone's like, now we have to worry like first coronavirus and then murder hornets. I was like, what the heck is that? So I looked it up and then immediately regretted it. And I, of course, sent the article to everyone in my family. And I was like, now we're going to die from hornets. Great. But it does sound scary.
It does. I mean, it's the stuff of nightmares. This entire
It really is.
Well, yeah. And so I guess I'm going to transition you back because probably people watching, I could talk to you like this all day, but people, they probably want to know, you know, something, something about running. But let's go into Altra because that is something that's sort of new. And I know just because I'm a little bit of a stalker that you liked, you know, shoes that had support in them and stuff like that. So Altra is not known for having a support shoe. Provision just came out, but I think that you're an Escalante fan.
Well, yeah,
Okay.
not for hardcore running, but yeah.
Oh, let's get into hardcore running.
Yeah.
So
I
switched to Altra.
Yeah, so I was with Nike for 12 and a half years, and I was a structure triax person. Then I went to Skechers and helped them develop the Forza, which is another, you know, I mean, I love that shoe, but
the latest version of it's really gotten really good reviews from our
team. So when I decided to leave that company, I was meeting with a few companies, and one of them, I was sure I was going to sign with them because I've always been interested in them. They have like a great history of shoes. One of their athletes won the Boston Marathon. But I started to find that, and I was like, Altra, I could never wear these at zero drop. I need all the support. I need the big height. And I started to notice, but I was like, I'll give it a try. I'm like open to anything. And I started to notice that the days that I wore my Altras, I had a better workout and my legs felt better. And I mean, I'm going to admit it, like I was surprised. I was like, wait, it's not what I was expecting. And so then I decided to like dive in on the brand a little bit more and get to know the people at the brand a little bit more. And at that point I was like totally sold. So I think I can't remember when I signed, but sometime in the fall of 2018. And it's been really awesome. And I have a really bad knee. I need a knee replacement. And that makes me just want to cry. It's so sad to admit it. But it really bothered me for like 2 years. And ever since I started running in Ultras, it still will swell here and there, but it doesn't bug me the way it used to. And also, and I am going to knock on wood, I haven't had a significant injury since I started running in Ultras.
Definitely knock on wood. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, I had the hamstring tweak in Houston, but that wasn't due to any footwear. I think it was just too cold, and I should have worn longer shorts. But anyway, and then I've gotten to know the people at the brand, and they've been really passionate about the things I am, which is like bringing more women into running, and also like getting more into the road side. So it's been really fun. But yeah, so I when I first signed, the only shoe that I ran in was the Paradigm.
Okay.
That's it. I didn't wear a single other shoe. Yeah. And then I started to branch out. Yeah, branch out. So now I switch it up, but
the Paradigm's a big shoe. Like that's a
lot.
Is.
Well, that's like my comfort, right? Like I'm used to that like medical shoe, like that old shoe that you'd see dads wear. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll definitely like that. So that's the shoe that sold me on it though.
Is the Provision now something you're wearing, or are you?
Yeah, Provision is taken over as my favorite. I still wear the Paradigm a lot. I do like the Torin a lot, believe it or not. That's a neutral shoe.
I love the Torin.
I love it. It's such a good ride. And it's like they have the Torin Plush too, which I'll wear here and there, but
I like
it's a little soft for me. I like the regular. And it's such a good shoe. Like I've done fartleks in it. I've done just easy runs in it. I haven't done an actual long run in it, but I'm surprised at how much I love that shoe.
Weight to cushion, it's a really nice combo. And so they've done I like what they've done with that. It's interesting because you talk a little bit about, you're making this choice. I'm sure that the values, you seem to choose brands to align yourself with that align with your values.
Yeah.
And so I was going to ask, what is it about Altra that, other than, right now, when I look at running as a sport, when you talk about women coming into running, I'm sure there's always room for improvement, but it's kind of amazing. If you just look at this last Olympic trials, how many women went to the trials. So I get that, but there's got to be other things about the company that made you just be like, yeah, I want to represent this.
I think it was like talking to the couple different companies and saying like, this is what I want. I want to get more women into running, period. I loved the Olympic trials and seeing so many women qualified was amazing, but I want to just get my neighbor to run a 5K. Like it's been my goal for years to get my sister to run, and she's finally running, you know, like that's who I want to reach out to, those women. And then the other thing that's really important to me is building women up. So I have my annual retreat, which this year is probably going to end up being virtual, but like I also wanted to start a girls camp, and they were so excited about the girls camp, you know, and it was like, yes, we want to help you do that. We will get it off the ground for you, whatever you need. And that to me said so much, because I mean, those are like things that are like my passion projects, right? Is like getting women and then connecting with younger girls before they go through harder times than they've already gone through, right? And letting them know like this is a wave that we all ride. And they were just so on board with it. So that for me just really aligned. And then over the last year with them moving to Colorado, and I've been able to be more involved and actually get involved in some product development. So I feel like I'm actually a part of the team, and I'm not just getting like shoes in the mail every few months. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. That's fine. That's how a lot of sponsorships work. But I feel like I'm actually on the team, giving suggestions, getting feedback, getting to go to meetings. I don't know. I feel like I'm a part of it.
Plus, you have a fellow Buffalo there with Shanna, and yes. she's on board. And I mean, she is a cut up. Like when we were at the running event in Austin, like her dry sense of humor is just amazing. But
she's amazing. She's like, you know, she's my closest friend, so it helps that she's there for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I'm a little deeper into the women's running and getting women involved with running. What do you think is the hurdle for, you know, moving that needle?
Well, even last year I got into trail running, and I'm a 2-time Olympian. I am a world championship medalist, and I was super intimidated to try trail running.
Really?
So intimidated. I mean, I would cry. I would go running with people and cry, and I'd be like, I can't do this. And so I just started to think like, if I feel that way, other people have to feel that way. But trail running, even though I'm not good at it, has been so freeing for me and been such an empowering experience. So for me, it's like things like that, just like opening the door more. And, you know, like, of course, we like to see people who are fast, and we like to see people who are charging down the mountain like crazy. But there's also people that will be out there for twice as long to go half as many miles, but it will change their lives.
Yeah.
And those are the women that I mean, I want everyone to come in, but those are the women I really want to bring in, because I just feel like it's such a game changer and life changer. But it can be a very intimidating experience when all you see is how fast people are or how crazy they are on this mountain ridge, right? And you're like, I can't do that. So you kind of put up a wall.
Yeah. I wonder if that is also regional, because I know in Colorado and Boulder, you have these insane athletes that are used to altitude, used to running the trails and really going after it. I find where we are, the trails are maybe it's less judgment, because you can't really tell how fast somebody runs on this trail versus that trail, because the conditions are usually so different that it takes the pace and the stuff out of the equation. And that's why I think it's so hard. Like if you know, like, okay, Leadville, and I know what you're going to run at Leadville compared to other people who are probably your level. But if I tell you about Hat 50K out here in Baltimore or in Maryland, and then you talk to me about a local race in Boulder, you can't really compare the two as far as what's a good time for a 50K there. I don't know.
Yeah, and you know what? I will say the more I've gotten into the trail community, it's not intimidating. Like when I went to Leadville and I totally thought I was going to run better. And first of all, I never would have finished without all the other people there. I mean, there was like people waiting for me to puke, and then they'd run a half mile with me. I mean, it was crazy. Yeah. Like, I mean, it was crazy. And then I was like, I'm not going to the award ceremony. I'm embarrassed, right? I'm thinking of like a road race where it would be like all this hype and there would be some judgment on the result. And I ended up going, and it was like no one cared. They only cared that I had made the journey. You know what I mean? And so for me, that was a journey of getting to know this new community with different set of priorities. But it's intimidating still just to start, right? Because it's like, it's just intimidating. Like, I don't know what a good trail shoe is. Like when I first signed with Altra, they're like, oh, what's your favorite kind of trail shoe? I'm like, I've never worn a trail shoe in my life. So it's intimidating.
Yeah, I see that. I would think that it would be intimidating for people to line up next to you in that situation. But
They shouldn't be.
I mean, I was going to ask you earlier when we started talking about this, have you relaxed about pace and, having to be, the best out there? When you go out in the trail, have you been able to just say, hey, I like being out here running. I like being this, maybe taking a little competitive side out and just enjoying the.
Yeah. I think it was a hard adjustment because my life, I am 41, and since I was 12, I have valued myself on what my watch says. I've kept a logbook for 20 some years, and I have valued myself every night when I go back and look at my watch. And did I hit the time I wanted? And am I seeing progress? So it was an adjustment at first to be out there and to be out there in a run that I would normally cover 26 miles, in that time on a training run and only cover 15 or whatever it was. It was like, there was this mental block of like, am I even doing anything? Like, is this worth my time? I mean, that's just
My
how
legs
it felt.
hurt, but I don't know.
Yeah, I
if
was
I'm
like,
doing
everything
it.
does hurt. And so there was this release that eventually came with like, I'm running because I love it. I'm running because it's making me feel empowered. I'm running because it's connecting me in a way with myself that I haven't been connected in a long time. And that sort of became the motivator to get out the door. And I couldn't value myself off my watch anymore because literally there's 3 different trailheads out my door. I'm going to have a totally different experience depending on which way I turn, So it was an adjustment, but yes, I ended up loving that freedom of just giving myself permission to enjoy the run without any expectation.
Yeah. And it's funny because it's hard not to bring the baggage with you from competitive sports, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
But when, like someone like me who's a fan, when we see everything that you've done and you look at it compiled into this like career, and then you take it and you go out and try something new and trail and everything like that, like we're all rooting for you to just be there, to be part of it. And like, we want to be part of it. And the idea that I could have signed up for Leadville and ran with Kara Goucher. And I always talk about that. The same people that we always look up to are at the start lines of Boston. They're at the start lines of this, and we get to be there and share that with you. So like for someone to, think that they, it should be intimidating to be coming up to the line. We want to be there. Like as fans, we want to be there with, runners like yourself.
No, I appreciate that. It's weird, right? Like I spent my whole life trying to make teams. And in 2016, I missed the team by 1 spot. I spent a year like not being able to think about anything else, getting injured over and over again, trying to rush back. And then when I turned 40, I just had this acceptance of like, I'm not that athlete anymore. And it's okay. I'm hitting my head against the wall. Like, it is what it is. I've gotten older. My body's a little damaged. And now I have a choice. Like, do I just say, I'm not as fast as I used to be, so I have no value and I'm just going to go away? Or do I say, I love running and there's so much more to explore, and maybe I won't be good anymore, but like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
but like,
yeah.
maybe, but I still get to have this whole journey. And I was like, screw it. Like, I am who I am, and I just want to still have my journey.
Yeah, I think it's great. Now you bring up that Olympic trial. Man, that was a brutal day out in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
But man, I ran a marathon the day after that, and I had like, I'm getting older myself. I had a really good day from watching all of you guys compete. It was just inspirational. Like that, what was it, 70 degrees and like no shade in Los Angeles.
Oh, it was so hot. Yeah, it was up in the 80s. But like I didn't make any mistakes. The 3 women that were ahead of me were great athletes. I mean, one of them went on to win New York. One of them got a bronze medal at the World Championships, and the other one won Boston.
Yeah.
So it was like people that are friends of mine that I admire. But it was hard, like when I came into that race, I thought, I'm either going to be top 3 or I'm going to be like 25th. It never in my mind I never thought I would be 4th. It never crossed my mind. And then I was left with wrestling like, well, do I continue to prove that I could have made it? It just like left me in this weird place. Like if I get 3rd, then I'm going to the Olympics, and I already told my family if I go, that will be my last race. if I don't, but if I get like 25th, then the writing's on the wall. It's time to hang it up, you know?
Yeah.
But fourth is like, ugh, I don't know what to do with that.
Fourth,
you know?
fourth sounds like the worst.
It really is the worst. I was like,
But,
oh, okay. So,
yeah.
but, yeah.
Yeah, that was an incredible race as a spectator. But let's get into something you're really passionate about now, and you have a podcast about it, and you really are a champion for clean sport. And as an amateur who maybe I use some Advil once in a while, you know, if I'm getting crazy,
Okay.
you know, I sneak it out. But, you know, I'm kind of curious because, like, one, what draws the line and clear? I'm going to give you a bunch and then you can just ramble on. But
Okay.
one, like, what is not being clean, like in the scale of things? Two, why is this such a passionate project for you? And three, as an amateur versus pros, I understand there's a lot of difference in, like, you were talking to one of the guys from Nas Elite the other day on your podcast, and there's rewards tied to times. So I can understand that, you know, I'm amateur athlete. I want to qualify for Boston or do a great race and do a PR over here. Not really going to maybe dope up for that. But if my career is on the line and my bonuses are on the line and my way of making a living, I guess that's where it gets a little murky. So are all those points that we can hit on?
Yeah. And you can ask me anything more in depth. Like, I'm an open book on all this stuff. So I think, first of all, like, what counts? I just go by the rules, right? So, like, when I was an elite athlete, there's a rules. There's the WADA code every year, and there's the ban list, and that's that, right? Like, you just, if it's on the ban list, you can't do it. Now, there are some things that can be argued because it has to meet 3 criteria, which is, I think it's like spirit of sport, potentially harmful to the athlete, and then gives you an advantage. So you could be doing something that gives you an advantage and is against the spirit of the sport, but is it like, yeah, whatever, right? So it could be argued if it's not on the list, but I just like to keep it simple. And if it goes against the rules, then it goes against the rules. And I would just like to remind people that, like, being an elite runner and running in the front pack of the New York City Marathon, that's actually not a right. That's a privilege. And there are things you have to be aligned with to be able to do that. You can't just say, I want to do that, so I'm going to dope up to do that. No, it's a privilege to be there, and there's rules you have to follow. So anyway, I'm like getting all heated because this is a really, really passionate topic for me.
That's
like,
why it's interesting. And I know you know, you have other stuff to do today, so I don't want to.
No, we can go.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay,
we're fine.
cool.
We're fine. So why do I care? I think, you know, I was in, you know, I always knew I wasn't the best athlete in the world. I mean, I'm like from northern Minnesota, like, not to knock on us, but I like ate hot dish and Spam, and you know what I mean? Like, I didn't know what organic was till I went to college, you know? So, like, I always knew I wasn't the best athlete in the world, but there was something alluring to me about finding out how far I could go. And I think as a professional, when I started to see that, like, I look back at the Olympic Games from 2008 and 2012, and I look where I finished, and most of the names in front of me have been caught up in some ban or a scandal. And then I start to think, man, I like dedicated my whole life to this. And I'm okay with being 8th at the Olympics in the 5,000. That's fine. If that's what I am, that's what I am. That's awesome. But maybe I was 3rd. And I just want to know what it is, right? So that used to drive me crazy. And like, I think about people like Shalane or Desi, people that are my friends. And I think, yeah, they've had these big moments, but they could have had more. And of course it's financial, but it's also the emotional. And like I said, when you're dedicating your whole life to it, and then you just don't even get to know, like, that's like, ah. And then of course I was with a team where I witnessed things that were against the rules, and it just really bugged me, and that's where I finally left. And so it's just sort of built over the years. I mean, I always felt like strongly that I would never cross that line, but it just has built more and more. And I mean, weird things have happened. Like I got the bronze medal in 2007 at the World Championships. I was so happy. I never once for a second worried about that result. And then I find out 10 years later that the woman in front of me was on steroids. And I'm like, wait, what? So it's
and
just
that basically robs you from that moment of being silver on the podium and, you know, all the things that go along with that. And like we were talking, what I was saying earlier about financial rewards, but also just pride, advertising, sponsorship, all of those things. So
absolutely. And I always think about, like, I got the medal and I got to stand on the podium and I got a big jumping contract and I got big appearance fees. And yeah, it would have been more because silver is better than bronze and gold's better than silver. But I really think about the person who should have been third. Like in my case, it was Joe Pavey, who didn't get to stand there and got dropped by her sponsor shortly after that race. And those sorts of things, like, it would have changed her life. So yeah, we can give it to her now, 13 years later, but it doesn't change her life the way it should have. You know what I mean?
Do you feel that, obviously you were on a team where there was some questionable stuff. Everybody kind of has an idea of what that is. But is it more prevalent in any particular country, or do you think it is a problem that's throughout the sport?
I think it's a problem throughout the sport. I think obviously we know Russia had state-sponsored doping. That's a huge problem. I do think we're seeing more positives out of Kenya lately. Obviously that's a problem. But I think to point fingers, we have problems here in the United States. Every country has problems. The UK has problems. And so I just feel like everybody needs to clean up their own house. Yeah, is it more? I mean, I think there are reasons why maybe in other countries it's more prevalent. Like for instance, in Russia, like it was state sponsored.
Yeah.
So you either do it or you're
out
right?
off the team. Yeah.
Yeah, and then in some other countries, you win one major and your grandchildren are set up for life. Yeah. So I think there's things that's one of the things that I've become more. I used to be very black and white, and I still feel like if you break the rules, you're gone. But I one of the things I love about the podcast is I want to bring awareness so that we can help the next generation not make those poor choices. And why do people make those poor choices? Like we had Tyler Hamilton on and we got a little backlash for that. But I felt like that's what we need to hear from those people who did it and who are truly sorry, who can educate us on what it is that makes someone make that choice so we can help prevent that for the future.
Yeah, I actually think it's smart and balanced to have, I want to hear the reasoning behind it. And I think that's in any type of crime, you want the backstory. What, why, you know, what was the motivator? Because I don't think that necessarily everybody is evil in these situations. I think it's like a slipping down a slope. Like if you were a cyclist and everybody on your team was doing it and you had built your whole life around this, and you know, you just
I totally agree. I used to be like, you're bad or good, and now I don't feel that way anymore. I still feel like if you cross this line, you can't compete anymore.
Yeah.
But you're not a bad human. You made a bad choice, and there's probably all these circumstances that brought you to that choice, whether it be a coach that had groomed you, or a financial circumstance, or like Tyler, you're away from your parents in Europe with people you idolize, right? And so I have definitely changed the way I look at it. I've become less of an ice queen when it comes to it. But I still don't think you should be able to compete anymore.
Well, you should be out. But my thought in that is that it's not like you say, oh, I want to dope and be up front.
Right.
I think it's a little bit here, a little bit there, and next thing you know, you're shooting up in the back of a van with
for sure. And I think it's like there's people around you, right, that are like dropping hints. I mean, like you don't just like one day wake up and be like, I think I'm going to take EPO. Like I'm just going to order some, and it's like it's this culture and it's people around you. And so I do think like that's one of the things I don't like right now with the way the system is, although we did have a coaching ban obviously in the Salazar case, but typically it's just the athlete gets the ban and their life is over, but the group continues on.
Yeah.
right? The agent with all the athletes or the coach with all the athletes, and the athletes become disposable. And the athletes didn't choose to do that on their own. There was a whole team around them that brought them to that point.
Yeah.
So I wish the whole team was held accountable more than just the athlete.
Like follow the breadcrumbs kind of thing.
Yeah, like if you're going to take, like, yeah, the athlete stole money, but so did all these other people. So let's just like get rid of all of them, right? And then maybe it won't happen anymore. Maybe not, but maybe.
Yeah, it's a good thought. So you've obviously made this a big part of what you are and where your career is going now with the future of your running and your influence. If people want to learn more about this, where are they going to go to get information on Clean Sport?
So they can go to cleansportcollective.com or .org. I don't even know. But you can check us out on Instagram and we can link you there, Clean Sport Collective.
We'll put a swipe up in our story too.
Okay. And we have if you really are passionate about it, you can listen to our podcast. And we also have a list of brands who have signed our pledge. So the brands that sign, we have athletes as well. Any athlete can sign the pledge. Anybody, like your mom can, my sister who just started running, fans can sign the pledge, meet directors can sign the pledge. Oh, cleansport.org. Thank you. But you can also see what brands have signed it. So if a brand signs the pledge, they're saying they will not sponsor an athlete that has tested positive. So you could choose to buy products from those brands because you know that they're helping or trying to help end this cycle of doping in sports. So there's a lot of information on that website, but everybody should take the pledge. I mean, anybody can take it. And it just says that you want to see clean athletes and you're going to be clean and you're going to support, you know, clean athletes and clean brands.
And why is this important to amateur athletes and people who, you know, aren't competing at the highest levels and aren't going to miss a podium and you know, the what do you call it? The penalties aren't as large.
Yeah, I think it's about building a culture that we care about, right? And like, what do we want running to be? Like, I mean, Clean Sport Collective, my pie in the sky goal is that everybody cares about it, even baseball and football. Again, pie in the sky, but still. But really it was built around running. And what I love about running is that it is just you. It is so pure. I used to do competitive dance and I get docked because I didn't have enough makeup on or my costume wasn't like perfect or whatever, right? But with running, it's just you. And that's why we can see amazing people maybe aren't on paper, aren't the ones that are expected to win that day. Like when Shalane won in 2017 or when Desi won in 2018 or when Amy Craig got the bronze in London at the World Championship. She was not expected to be there. But on that day, magical things can happen. But we want to protect that. It is just those people having these moments. And even an amateur, even someone that just runs a 5K, the beauty about running is that it is about us. It's about our journeys and our bodies moving through space and what we have put into it. And let's build a culture that's what we care about. It's less about results and more about protecting the love of it and the purity of it.
Awesome. Is there anything else you want to cover?
Well, I mean, I never talked about any Altra trail shoe.
Let's get the Altra trail shoe.
So I just wanted to quick say, because I run in the Lone Peaks, but I just wanted to say to my fellow road runners who might be intimidated, and if you want to try Altras, you should try the Superiors because they are a good beginner trail shoe. And so I just wanted to say that, like, if you're intimidated at all, and if you come from a road background, the Superior is a really good beginner trail shoe, and I love it, and that's what I've done most of my running in.
Have you run in the Timp at all?
I have a little bit. I know
Yeah.
that's like one of their best sellers, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I love the Superior so much.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, you've been great, and I know I've kept you longer than I was
okay.
supposed to, but I appreciate it covering it all. Normally we go in and answer some of the people's questions, but I feel like you covered a lot of the questions that were in there, that were already there. So I appreciate your time. I will continue to be a fan and be following you. I guess once this is over, we back on the trails. Where am I going to be seeing you compete next?
Yeah, so my goal for this year was to run the 5th Avenue Mile and try to break 5 minutes, but I doubt that race is going to happen. And then my goal for next year was to go back and do another Ultra. So now I'm not sure if I'm going to like still try to do the mile and an Ultra. Probably I'll try to do both.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Which
Yeah.
you wait, which I guess you'd be Escalante for the mile, or do
Yeah,
they have some
Escalante
secret
racer.
shield?
No,
They
no,
don't-
no.
There's no
I want to
secret.
compare myself to myself, right? So I ran a 405 1500 in a regular spike that didn't have any like technology you could run in now. So I want to just run against my old me. And so I'll just be running the Escalante racer. And I don't know, it'll be hard, but it's still a goal for me.
That's awesome. All
Yeah.
right. Well, have a great rest of your day. Thanks for coming on. And we're gonna take this and on the computer side by side, we put that on YouTube so people can watch it again.
Oh,
And
cool.
it'll be in our story for 24 hours. So if anybody missed it and they want to watch it, they can watch it there. And that's about it.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Thanks for being here.
See you.
I'll see you some
Bye.
other day.
Okay.